Hello YouTube, this is Electro Druid, and today I'm playing in a flatland world that I've edited in MC Edit to turn the whole ground into glowstone. So everywhere, as far as the eye can see, is lit, with the exception of this trap, which we'll come to in a bit. I've also on the ground just laid out some outlines of chunks, essentially. So a chunk is a 16 by 16 column, which is how Minecraft stores the world internally, and that's interesting. This tower here is at 0, 0, so I've come to those coordinates just to make it easier for what I'm going to do next. What I'm interested in today is whether the placement of a trap can affect its efficiency because of how it interacts with the code for spawning the mobs and how that works with chunks and stuff. This is, I'm afraid, a variant on the same trap that you've seen in my other videos. I'm sorry to keep rehashing these traps, but what I needed here was a trap with a nice and compact with a spawning floor that was exactly one chunk big, with a drop, because that's always a nice quick way to kill things. So I thought I'd stick with what I know. I'll just show it to you. It's a bit like the 1.0 trap with the 4 rooms on each side, except that I've expanded it into one single room, a bit like the 2.0, the water-based trap. The ceiling is still on sticky pistons, so that will still crush Endermen, so that all still works the same way. And I'll just show you here. This green block here is the top of that column, and you can see that is at 0, 0 in X and Z, and we're at 240 here in Y, which is the highest place that enemy mobs will, or mobs I think, will spawn. So yeah, this trap takes up one chunk and it's right at the top of that chunk, and we are going to see how efficient that is. While we're here, I guess I'll show you the redstone. If you've seen the 2.0 trap, I use this kind of double rail with these repeaters to power it, and I've done that again here, and I've actually done the same with the ceiling pistons, which the 2.0 didn't have, but this parallel lines with just repeaters to boost the signal works. This is the same as you'll see. There's a couple of XOR gates, there's the timer circuits. If you've seen my other videos, this should all be familiar. The thing that's new that you might not have seen before is an AND gate here, which just gives you an on-off switch. So I can turn it on and the machine starts. When I turn it off, the machine finishes the cycle it's currently on and then stops. And here's the switch down by the collection area. I've got some chests here to collect my winnings. And yeah, so, and a sign here, so just because we're being scientific, to show you where the top of that column is. It's at 0 in X and Z, 240 in Y, and we've got a nice empty inventory here. So we're going to set a timer for an hour, and we're going to turn the trap on, and we're going to collect stuff for an hour and see what we end up with. And you know, I don't. This probably isn't the most efficient trap design in the world, but it's the one that we're going to be using for all the tests, so we can keep everything consistent between the tests, except for the position of the trap. So yes, okay, great. So we've got our first few mobs dropping out the trap and dying. We've got some items here, so we know that the trap's working. That's great. Okay, fantastic. Well, I will see you in an hour by the magic of video editing. Okay, here we go. So it's nearly an hour later. The timer's up. There it is. That's the trap turned off. Grab some bits. It's gonna finish its cycle, so for the sake of consistency, we'll let it finish the current cycle that it's on. In fact, let's go and check. Where are we at in our timer? Okay, so it's just flushing out the last set of whatever's in the trap. We'll grab that and we'll count up. The chests were a bit optimistic. Actually, everything that I've picked up in an hour fits into my inventory. So let's just frantically rearrange things a bit so that we can count them up, and we'll find that the final tally is 1,164 items. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's our basis for comparison for the next tests. So here we are in MC Edit, which is a program that lets you just quickly and easily edit certain things about the world. I've selected my trap here, and all I'm going to do is move it down so that the very topmost part of the trap is below 128 in Y. The reason for this is that the chunks, which I pointed out at the beginning, they're 16 blocks in X and Z, but by default they're only 128 blocks high, and it's only when you start building above that point that that the chunks get taller. So I'm thinking if we keep below that constraint, then the spawning algorithm has got less space to look in vertically. I'll just fix up the ground here because I've destroyed it. It's got less space to look in vertically, and so maybe it will spawn inside the trap more often, and maybe that will make our trap more efficient. So that's the idea. So we're going to save this, and we are going to go back into Minecraft and load that world up again and see how we are. Oops, okay, so I didn't move the player position, so we're filling out the sky, but that's good because actually this is where I want to be. We want to just go to the highest point in the map and just make sure it's below 128. Yeah, okay, so it's 124. It's a couple of blocks lower than I thought it was going to be, but that's fine. That's going to be perfect for testing. We'll just go in and check the spawn floor and measure that because we're being scientific. We'll just see where we're at in Y and make sure that we haven't moved it in X and Z. Yeah, okay, this corner. Yeah, so we're still at 0, 0 in X and Z, but we're at 115 now in Y. So this is still this spawning floor is still contained within a single chunk, but just the shorter column. So less random places for the game to try to spawn things and fail before eventually finding that spot inside the trap. We'll change our sign so we can see the changes. And yep, there we go, we're at 115 now. That's the point of the top of that green column. We'll start, we'll turn the monsters on, that would be good. And we'll start the timer. And when we do that, we will turn the trap on. Great. And let's go for another hour. Oh, I picked up this sword, by the way, because I found that there's a weird bug where sometimes spiders survive the fall. It's a 4 block fall, so they shouldn't survive, but they do sometimes. It's weird. It's some kind of bug, I'm not sure. It's an hour later. And as soon as the timer expires, we will turn the trap off. We'll do the same as we did last time. We'll grab what's ever in. We'll leave whatever's in there and collect it in a bit. But we'll just make sure that we've got through the final run. This time round running the trap, I already know that it's better because the items that I picked up didn't fit in my inventory. So I've had to count them out into a chest. So we don't know what the final count is yet, but we'll find out. But yeah, it definitely feels like building the trap lower has helped us. So let's count this stuff in. Need to organise this better. Okay, and so the final count is, drumroll, 2,079 items. That's fantastic. That's almost double what we had before. But can we go one louder? Back in MC Edit, the last thing I'm going to try is I'm not going to move it up or down anymore, but I am going to move it 8 blocks in X and 8 blocks along the Z coordinate. The idea here is that even though nothing else about the trap has changed, now that 16 by 16 spawning floor that we've got will be split across 4 chunks, and I'm wondering if the spawning algorithm has 4 chunks that it can try to potentially, find the spaces inside, whether that will be more efficient than having everything aligned just in one chunk. So we'll save that and we will see how that looks. Okay, we're back in. We'll check our coordinates again just to make sure that I haven't screwed up in MC Edit. I'm not very good at using it yet, so apologies. So where are we? Yes, okay, we're at 8 in X and Z, which is where we want it to be. We're at 115 in Y. So the previous far corner of the room, is was 15, which is where we are now. We're in the middle of the hole, so we can see that this is split pretty evenly across 4 chunks now. Let's find out if that helps. Stick the sign up. So X is 8, Y is 115, and Z is 8. Oh, I typed it wrong. Okay, never mind. We'll kick off the trap and I'll fix that in a bit. That's just for our reference. Okay, turn on the monsters. Kick off the trap. And let an hour pass. Okay, yeah, great. So I mean, it's felt like it's been a pretty efficient one. Here comes the timer now. We will just find at the exact moment. We'll turn that off. Great. Yeah, it's felt like it's been a pretty efficient one. I don't know if it's been more efficient than the last run or not. We'll find out when we count up. Again, just for consistency, make sure that we pick up the drop from the final run of the machine. The thing with this circuit is that it's really difficult to stop it halfway through doing something. So you kind of have to let it complete a cycle, because otherwise it ends up in a weird state. Okay, great. So let's see where we're at. I've got a better system, better organised here now. And the final count for this is 2,262 items, which is a couple of hundred better than the last time. It's not great. It might just be the quirks of randomness. So I don't know if it's helped, but it hasn't hurt. So it's probably worth doing, I guess, in your own traps. So yeah, we learnt some stuff today. The last thing I was going to say in the video, I've been kind of busy since I started making these videos. I've had a kid and I've had other stuff going on in my life, but I do want to keep making them. I'm just not sure what to make next. I don't want to keep just making videos of this same trap design over and over again. I want to do other interesting machines or ways to solve problems that people might have when they're playing Minecraft, or stuff that kind of delves into the inner workings a bit and kind of really sort of exploits things to be as efficient as they can be. So if you have any ideas about videos that you'd like to see me do, if you could drop me a line in the comments, and anything that takes my fancy, maybe we'll get videos about that, and that'd be great.